Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw Tips and Tricks. Somebody sent me this logo and said it won't trace very well, and they're right. It won't. It's pretty bad. But I did trace it and get it to come to that, and I got a vector file to make it look like this. Now, the text is not perfect. It could still use a little bit of work. And for the gentleman I'm doing it for, if you could ever find out the font they used, like mine is a little bit smaller. I could have fixed that, but I was more concerned about this one. This one I just retyped, this one I fixed, and I completely redrew this, and I love drawing stuff like this. I mean, to me, this is pretty easy, and I think I hit it dead on. So we're just gonna go through it, and this might take a couple of videos. So first of all, see the bounding box is quite a bit larger than the logo itself. So with it selected, and make sure it's selected or everything else will go away, crop out everything you really need. Now, if we look at the bounding box, it's quite a bit smaller. I'm still going to reduce it in size just so Corel won't have to work with it so hard. I'm going to do the font first, and then I'll do the microphone and the sound coming off later. I'm going to go to bitmap, convert to bitmap, and turn it to grayscale. I don't know if that helps, but it did help a little bit. I'm going to go to trace bitmap, outline trace, clip art. And it doesn't look very good, but I'm going to bump up the detail a little bit and then hit OK, and then move that out of the way. Now, you can see how terrible it is, especially that. I mean, this is actually, I don't think this is a font. If we look at this in wireframe, I mean, there's some letters inside that font. So let's go back to enhance. Now, there's a bunch of garbage left. So I'm thinking the best way to do this is I'm going to go to object, group, and ungroup it. And I am going to draw a rectangle around this. I would love to show you how to do this, but that's not in the, I don't have the font, and you need the font. Now I'm going to take the Smart Fill tool. I'm going to go in and use a color of like yellow, and I'm going to fill that in. And look, when I nudge it over, you know what, I'm going to change my nudge factor to like 2 inches. When I nudge it over, it kind of completes, it takes in all the blacks or the grays. Now I'm going to go ahead and smart fill this, which doesn't really help. Smart fill that, just so we'll know placement. And like I said, I'm probably just going to have to make 2 videos. I'll do the font first. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to smart fill it again, but I'm going to smart fill it in black. And I'm going to nudge it over. I'm going to nudge it over because I want to get rid of all the yellow when I'm done. And like I said, this would be 100 times easier if we knew the font. Now, see, it's even worse than what I started with earlier. Maybe you know what, I'm going to try that. Let's try that. Let's trace it again, but let it trace. I think I bumped up the detail maybe too much. And maybe it'll be better. I think that is better. So we're going to go back. I was trying to make it a little bit better, and it ended up making it worse. So a lot of times when you use clip art, you'll be better off. So I'm gonna go ahead and use black, and then fill it in. I should have used another color just because it's going to be hard, but now we can use another color, and we can always change it back to black. And then I'm going to nudge it down. And like I said, if you had the font, if you can find out the font from the people you're doing this for, now that looks a lot better. But if we look at it like take away the fill and add an outline, you can see it's still pretty messed up. Because the letters actually have like a little notch up top. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but if we take the smoothing tool and just kind of smooth this stuff out, and you have to get on the letter, and I tried reducing. Now, if we look at, and normally you could pick one M and use it for both, but because the fact that this is, they used an envelope tool to create this, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm just going to see like the P is smaller. And I've got my nudge factor, or my nub quite a bit smaller. That looks pretty good. But like I've said, and it all depends on how big this is going to be. If it's going to be small, nobody's going to be able to see the difference. I might even, clean that up a little bit more, maybe get back to the shape tool and maybe take that note out and maybe bend this back a little bit. You'd have to go back. The K looks pretty good. The E really looks pretty good. You've got to click where you see nodes. And really, I'm gonna call that good. Now, if you remembered, I nudged the whole time. So I can nudge it. Well, or did I? Yeah, I did. So I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of that. And my logo is, I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna Control G to group that logo together. Control G to group that together and put that right on top. Now the V, you're just gonna have to type it out, unless you can find the font. All caps. And, you could go through and try to find a font that's close. I'm trying to make it bold and then just kind of bring it about the same size. And because that other one is locked, we'll be able to pretty much squeeze it around. I mean, it's quite a bit different font. The E's not near as long, but who's to say they're not going to like that? Now we're going to go ahead and do the bottom ones, and then I'll do the microphone on a second video. Luckily, that microphone hole is pretty much in the center. I'm going to hold down the Control and the Shift key, and look at that. We're pretty close to the text of that. I'm going to nudge that over, and I'm going to type out now. Normally I would try to measure, but for the video I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and make it bold, and it's about the same length, and we can always change it. I think it's going to be a little bit too long, so I'm going to shorten it up a little bit. Now I'm going to go up to text to path, and I don't know why it's doing that, but I can always flip it, mirror it both ways. And then you can move it down with this or move it up. You can go there and then go back here and kind of spin it around to where it's even. I'm going to leave it as a text right now because I'm going to put it over there. You can see that we're not quite as long. So I'm going to grab the shape tool, grab our text, and I'm going to get this handle right here, and I'm going to spread it out. That's pretty close. I'm going to call that good. Now I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to nudge it out of the way. I am going to go to Object, break text apart, and then I can get rid of my circle. And there we go. Now, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a duplicate of this, and then I can move my text out of the way, my text out of the way, and my text out of the way. Now, stay tuned for part 2, because we're going to do this, and this is to me is easy and kind of fun. Hope that helped him a little bit. Thank you for watching.